Yeah.
So try to get one
So
side.
say, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Right, try to get like cut back.
No.
One, two thing. You're right. That running improves the production. Spread out.
Yeah.
It just.
It's too much. Even was like, it's so many different things.
It is, yeah, there's just.
That's what that, yes, it gives you like, what was that?
No, residential.
Does your wife, or her firm have any, commercial lending?
No, she does. All right.
So, Aubrey,
How's everybody doing?
good to
Good?
see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Good.
Yeah, I mean. Thanks, good to see you, Chuck. Yeah. You can share, these lovely people here online. It's all great. Yeah. All right, sure. That's not one.
Hey, good, how are you? Did everybody get that handout? No. Oh.
Else you have one? Okay. Yeah, good to see you. Look sharp all the time.
Thank you. I heard you were coming dressed up.
Yeah, so that's what it was, right? Yeah, me too. You know, Gary Keller gets away with a t-shirt, you know, say, if Eric can do it. Hi, Mary Ann, how are
I'm sorry, I
No,
was
you're
looking at a baby.
you? Oh, here.
Pictures, baby pictures.
Oh, grandbaby?
No, oh no, I don't have any. Amy's little 3-month-old
Oh, my goodness.
and oh my God,
Ain't you adorable?
adorable. So, yeah, so anyway,
Well, good, well, here we are, right?
here we are.
Congratulations, you're here, part 3 of Cash Flow Club. We are leaving with a plan today, so even if you didn't bring the sheet from the time before, that's okay, we're gonna leave with a plan today. Education without implementation is what?
Infotainment.
Entertainment, that's right. We didn't want to be entertained, like, look at this business. When's the last realtor retirement party you went to?
Yeah, right.
There's no happening, right? I want you guys to get to a point where you work because you want to, not because you have to. That's the whole purpose why we're talking about all this material today. And if you weren't here at the other 2 sessions, maybe somebody's listening in online, that's okay. No problem at all. I'm gonna do a short recap of a couple key pieces, and then we're gonna pick up where we left off. Great. So you guys ready to jump in? Okay, perfect. We'll see if the clickers are cooperating. What we covered in part 1 and part 2. So I'll set that here. What do you see here? We define your life by design. All right, we thought that was the first thing we did. We said, well, what is fast forward 10, 15, 20 years or whatever, 5 years, whatever it is for you, you're living your best life. You wake up and you check your watch just because you're curious, not because you have to be anywhere. What does that life look like? What is that thing you would do if money didn't matter, right? Where do you live? Who you live with, right? What kind of environment are you in? What is your passion? Okay, we talked about what your life by design is. We calculated that number up. We said, well, what's your financial freedom number that would allow you to live that life by design? Or you could physically do that.
You already gave me. Excuse me, Sharon. Oh, sorry.
All right, so then we determine the number of properties. We're in which business? What industry are we in? Real estate. So we could probably talk about real estate. We're talking about wealth building, right? So we talked about how many properties you needed to get there. If you have your sheet right now and you're working through, go ahead and write down some of these numbers either off memory, or if this is the first time, the easiest way to do this is where it says, and you can do this while we're talking, fill out those first 3. Your financial freedom number, that one that's kind of in the middle of the page, I ask a lot of people what their financial freedom number is. And they'll tell me, oh, I just need $5,000 a month, right? Everything on top of that crazy. I'm like, okay, so you paid, that's $60,000 a year. You made 120 last year, so you have an extra 60 sitting in a checking account right now, right? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, then your burn rate is not $5,000 a month. It's every penny you made last year. Another way you can look at it is, what did I make last year? How much extra do I have left over? And if the answer is 0, then your current lifestyle, not even the one you really necessarily want to live, but your current lifestyle cost you whatever your income was last year. Make sense? So on that financial freedom number, that part of the financial freedom number, write that number down. If you're online, you don't have this PDF, I'll send it out after this class, I'll send out a copy of all these PDFs. You have the entire slide deck. And just write down what I'm saying. What is your financial freedom number? Write that down so you have that. That needs to be on this piece of paper. And you have to define why is that important to you. So it's so important to fill out these first couple questions so we know why we're doing it, what it's going to take to get there. Once we know why and what it's going to take, what's the third thing you need to know?
How to accomplish it.
How to accomplish it, and am I willing to do what it takes? And as long as the answer is yes, hey guys, we'll see you again. I'll reach you. More copies. I know you probably have it, but just in case. And I just say as a recap, go ahead and write your freedom number down again.
Okay.
And fill this stuff back
One
out.
more coming in soon.
Okay, good.
Yeah, why don't you just give us the pilot?
Yeah, well, it's all good.
You don't have to,
Yeah.
you don't have to stop.
Maybe in the middle there and then pass the bathroom to come in. Yeah. Yep,
Thanks so much.
I'm usually guilty of the same thing. I actually called on the way here. I was like, hey, the Kate Evans thing ran a little long. I felt rude getting up and leaving, so I didn't. I kept thinking she was in. And I got, you saw it. I don't know.
You did, right on time.
You, I was like,
First one,
okay, we got
first one
no.
is there, the second time back.
I know. I swear that on. Yeah, we were.
At some point, no,
His Chuck was right across the.
so I went and I double checked.
Well, if there's anybody in here that was last time, I have a feeling I'm gonna get some people that said, you guys got everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
just saying hello.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen them. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. So, you're good. If you see anybody that isn't in here that needed to be in here, because they were here last time, they may have gotten cancellation and not knowing it got put back on.
Right.
So let them know, I'm gonna send out a recap. I'm gonna be teaching again. It's either in or rather this month. I'll send out a follow-up.
Oh, yeah. Part two?
Yeah, I'll end doing the whole thing again, the whole series.
Okay.
Yeah, so in case that somebody missed, they can come back and see it. Yeah, so, all right, everybody have a flyer, pass one back if we don't, if I just came in. Okay, what else did we cover in part 1 and 2? Your 5-year property acquisition plan, your 5-year payoff strategy is 6 figures. You can make 6 figures of passive income and with this plan, following some pretty simple stuff. There he is out here. Right. Tips and advice we covered on how to maximize your real property profits. Remember that? We said, here, who remembers what those tips were? Those are some of the things that Gene, I know I'm throwing a lot at you. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
They talked about making sure you charge for the washer dryer separately.
Yeah. You have a washer and dryer package. If you like a washer and dryer package, it's an extra $100 a month, right? You can go buy a used washer and dryer for $200. You know what I mean? And put that in there, but it's like the convenience. People.
Oh,
love
and I've got a
convenience.
client who has one of the set of those anyway. It's in Smyrna.
Yes, yes. There you
Just
go.
FYI,
So maybe-
yeah, class.
There you go. You're after class. What else?
You talked about having a home warranty in place and having your tenants actually call and pay that $75 or whatever the current guy is.
Yes.
To take that off your plate and have them pay the money.
Nailed it,
And
yes.
then they actually pay that, they use,
Deduct it from
deduct
the.
that
Right.
from their
Right,
following month's rent
yes.
with a copy of that receipt.
Yes, exactly. So you get the whole warranty up front. When they sign the lease agreement, it says in there that if they have an issue, they need to get something resolved, they call the number, they pay the deductible, and then they take it, they give me the receipt, and I'll allow them to take it out of their rent, only if they give the receipt. Yes.
Yeah, one thing I didn't ask last time, what do you think about property management companies? So that you
Great
don't,
question.
because they know the legality and stuff like that, you don't. Okay, so.
Yes, absolutely love that question, and here's why. Some people, they want to have, you might know them, they want to be in control of everything. Like they want to be, there's other people, the other end of the spectrum, are like doing property management, overseeing, collecting rent, screening people, handling the potential
Right.
eviction, scared, you know, whatever.
It's like busy enough, what do I have?
So where's your comfort level? And and there's also the time value of money. What's the one thing we never get more of? You never get time back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And you may say, you know what, I've got enough profit, I can handle 2 or 3 on myself, you know, by myself. But once I get to 6 or 7 or 8 or 10, I just don't want to be. I want to take that same time of collecting rents or whatever else it is. I'm gonna go put it in to get some more properties, you know?
If we understand, if we low, right, like $100 a month.
This
Areas,
8 to 10% of whatever the rental amount
8 or
is.
10% a month.
That's a pretty standard number. Could you get somebody to do it for less? Absolutely. You know, absolutely. That's a pretty typical number, 8 to 10%. Yeah, that is.
So if you're not using a property management company, how do you screen?
So
Like,
there's
what
a
do you use?
couple free software pieces that you can use to screen tenants, and it actually does a background check, an eviction check, it tells you, it used to give their credit score, it doesn't give a score anymore, but it tells you what, you know, like a red, yellow, green, if they're good or not.
Right.
It does all kind, and they pay to apply. They do it all
Right.
online. You set up an account, they do it all online. That software also does rent collection, so you can set up where they make a payment online. They don't care how they do it. Venmo, Zelle, whatever else, right? I'll make it all tied to that account. The name of that software is, I'm gonna get to you later.
Okay,
Let me think about it. I got my, let me look at my login. What is it? No, it's called like, it's not my rent source, it's my, it'll come back to me. I will, and if I don't remember during this class, after class, I'll pull up my login and I'll tell you what that website is, okay? It is, my rent source is a property management company, that's not who it is, but it's something, you might be able to Google it and find out.
So there's separate
Rent screening, Google rent screening companies, tenant screening companies. Yeah, Google that, what are the names that come up? I'll tell you which one it is. It's one of the top 4 or 5.
Smart move.
It's my smart move. Remember I said it was my something, it's not my rent source, it's my smart move. That's the one I use first.
Rent free isn't bad. That's available through both FMLS and Georgia MLS now. And it's, and again, they pay for it.
Rent free.
Rent free. I used it once, last tenant, and it worked fine.
This is why we're sitting in a room, because I don't know everything. I'll be the first one to tell you. You guys are out there dealing with this kind of stuff every day. Share these ideas, you know, love this. So try that one too. Yeah,
And we.
my rent free.
Rent free. It's, there's a button, right? When you put in a rental listing in FMLS or Georgia MLS, it'll appear on the listing.
So we're at this now. Rent free was one of them. And that's through FMLS.
And Georgia MLS.
And Georgia MLS. The one I told you about was, my smart move.
And that when you can check credit and collect.
Evictions, credit
Collecting.
check, background, and they do their application. All you do as a landlord is set up a portal. And then whenever somebody applies, you send them there. They pay their own application. It's like $50 or something like that. It does all the background checks for you. And it removes some of the stuff that could cause you to potentially get in trouble. You know what the number one reason for discriminatory or HUD's complaints are? I can give you the answer. It's discrimination and rental. Somebody feels like they got discriminated against. This removes a lot of that. It tells you about the person, which is all that really matters is the person. Their background, their history, do they pay on time? Do they have decent credit? Have they ever been evicted? You know, that kind of thing. Make sense? Oh, here's one other tip. Do not talk to their current landlord if they're moving. Don't, yes, talk to them. Yes, talk to them. Find out where they lived before and call that landlord. Because the one they have right now, maybe want to get them the heck out of the house, right? They may be terrible, terrible tenants. And that landlord may say whatever they want to say just to get that person out. Call the landlord. Put pieces together. What tool could you use to find out what the landlord's phone number is at their previous house? So possibly, you did realist, what else?
That other thing, that.
I think you're all.
Yeah, I just can't remember the name of it.
Called forewarn.
That's it, forward.
Forewarn, you get that through the office, you have to get broker approval to talk to Mike or whoever else, or actually I bet that LB's probably handling, getting the users.
I'll be handling it all.
Get in there, it's fun, it's really good to find out if somebody that you're going to meet at a vacant property at 8 o'clock at night, a criminal.
Which you shouldn't be doing anyway.
You should be doing it at night, right, anyway, but you can use it for other reasons, and this will be, you can pull up that person's phone number, your applicant, it'll tell you every address they've had, you can pull up their old address before their one at now, you can see who owned the home, and you can look up their phone. Right, forewarned, that'll get you there, that's another tip. All right, so one of our tips on maximizing rental, we talked about, washer and dryer package, we talked about, having a home warranty, and they pay for it, and they can deduct it with a receipt from their rent with your approval. What was the third one, remember?
I don't know the other one, but the lease that I have with a client, to a third party company, they have a $15 a month HVAC filter.
Okay.
Oh, God, stop nickel time in me.
I'm telling you. And some people are very concerned about their air quality, and they pay for that convenience. The other one was a lawn care package. Say, hey, well, you
Yeah,
need to
that's
keep the lawn
different.
up, you have to do this. If you don't, I'm gonna fine you, penalize you if you don't, because I get in trouble with the HOA if you don't. Or if it doesn't have an HOA, I can't have somebody live here to take care of the property, okay? So do you wanna do it before, would you like my lawn care package? And all you do is if your people charge you, $150 a month, then you charge them 200, you just add that on. But if you have 10 properties, you get an extra $50 a month, you just got $500 a month cash flow out of thin air. Add on the washer and dryer package, you have another 10 properties, right at $100 a month, or 150, there's another, $1,000 plus $1,500. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
This stuff adds up to create almost like having another rental property. Cash flow wise, makes sense, you get a couple extra $1,000 a month, across a handful of properties. So, got it?
It also allows you to, gives you extra cash for maintenance,
It does, yes,
replacement,
repairs, vacancies,
repair, all
Yeah.
those wonderful fun things.
Right.
That kind of just goes into a separate
yes,
pot.
right. Mhm.
And as that grows, you don't even see it.
That's it, you got it.
Just like we teach our clients, right, you're gonna have regular maintenance on your house.
Mhm. Have that stuff fun. We talked about the burn method. You guys remember what that was?
Buy, refurbish, rent, refinance.
So buy, remodel,
Oh, repeat.
rent,
Refinance.
refinance, and then repeat.
Repeat.
Yeah. Good, yes. And you do it the right way, you buy them low enough, you can ultimately, you do this, this is a big key, you do it the right way, you can literally end up having $0 in the deal. With a property that cash flows you $300, $400, $500 a month. That is the ideal place to do it, and just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we talked about understanding the foreclosure process. What does that look like? What's the difference between a short sale and auction property and an REO, right? We went through that, I'll do a quick recap on that in a second. We talked about notice of default. That's the pre-foreclosure before it even happens. And we started talking about where do I find investment properties, what we started digging into. You guys remember all that? That's a short recap of what we covered so far. Congratulations on this journey that we've been through together, and we're just getting started on your journey in investing. Okay, so what are we gonna cover today? We just recap what we learned. We've done that. Check that box. All right. Next one, funding your investments. This is what we started talking about last time, and I added a couple slides in to help you. Okay. All right. Other passive income. Right, what other things can we do to create some more passive income to help fund this mission, right? Housing is one of the basic needs. If everybody has to have a place to live, it's second under food, right? And if food to be alive, then means shelter is our second most important one. So in my eyes, yes, they're rose colored, because we're in real estate, but I truly believe this is one of the most sound investments you can possibly have. A house is always worth something, and it's one of the primary needs that people have in their lives, right?
Unless you live in LA, in a camper, it must be. You heard about it? Yeah.
Yeah. You can have one other business model on campers. You can rent campers out, and make a lot of money doing that. Okay, taking action on your year. We're gonna talk about taking action today. We are gonna lead. We're not just coming here to learn, like, oh, that was fun. I really enjoyed, that conversation. We're taking action. We're gonna commit to taking action, okay? All right, so disclaimer, I'll say this each time. I'm not a financial planner. I'm just sharing my story. What I've done, what I've learned, other investors I've been involved with, that's what you're hearing. So let's jump in. Okay, you got your hand out. We've already started working on it. Anybody that's listening online, take a screenshot of this slide, and this would be the thing you can look at on your phone so you can answer the questions. This is the one. We talk about why are you here today? We're talking about investing. All right, recapping.
I'm glad that was close.
I know. Okay, why is financial freedom important to you? What does your life by design look like? And what's your freedom number? So work your way through this sheet as we're talking. You may not have your one from 4 weeks ago that we did in the beginning. That's okay. Work your way through this one. What does this last part say?
That we're gonna do it.
Because I'm committed to creating my life by design because my future matters to me and the people I care about. Because of that, I will take the first step on my journey, of which I wrote out above by this date.
Do you guys understand that? We're gonna write down in the notes section what you're gonna do, and you're signing this for yourself. You don't owe me anything, right? What you do owe is yourself the best future you can possibly have for you and your family and the people you love, right? That's what this is about. You're signing and you're keeping this for yourself, and you're making a commitment to do that. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Finding inventory. Recap on this. We talked about FMLS. Good luck, right? We talked about pre-foreclosures, where you can get a notice of default list. You guys remember the resource and where you can get that at?
I'm sure it's called notice.
That's a place where you can find upcoming foreclosures.
List source?
Yes, you got it. List source, is it .com or .net?
.com.
.com, listsource.com. You can buy lists of notice of defaults, right? And then you can reach out to those people in a tactful way and offer them help. What other options do they have besides selling their home?
Renting it.
Refinancing.
Refinance.
So they don't have to risk and missing payments, they may not be able to refinance, right? What they could do, and you're on the right path, is they could talk to their lender and they could do something with it called a loan modification.
Right.
Loan modification. So offer that to them, say, hey, you don't have to necessarily move out of the home. Let's talk to your lender about doing a loan modification. You know, see if we can keep you in the property, you know, the last resort is having to sell it, and even if you sell it, right, let's help keep a foreclosure off your record. You know, let's get it done before it goes to the courthouse steps, because that sticks on the record for a very long time. There's nothing, and did you know this in the credit report, there's nothing that says short sale, right? What it'll say is it'll say sell for less than whatever amount, but it doesn't hit their credit like a foreclosure does. It doesn't stay on the record for years like a foreclosure does. Chuck knows this, because we talk to, Kyle all the time, I'm sure you hear about it, yeah. Okay. Absentee and absentee and equity owners, these are people that don't have, this is where I got a lot. Like I told you that 115 Mansell Circle, 217 Fourth Way, I mean, dozens like this. If somebody has a different tax billing address than their property address, you hear that? What does that mean? If the property address is different than their mailing address, what does that mean?
They're probably not.
Yeah.
And some of these properties they've had for many, many years, and the ones that I usually met with, they don't have the old property anymore. And the ones, you have to do this, your honor has got to stay high. And as a real estate agent, you have a duty to do the right thing. Here's what this looks like. Mr. and Miss Seller, yes, I would love to buy as an investor. Yes, we can close really quickly. I have the financing available to get it closed with cash in a couple weeks, right? But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you, if you put just a little bit of money in this home, you can get a lot more for it. And I'd be happy to help you list this home and get more money for the property. But if you don't want to deal with the hassle, here's what I can give you to buy it right now. Which way would you prefer? I don't know about you, but I can lay my head down and I'm feeling good about myself. I had a conversation with them, and I did every single time. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Do you win both ways?
Yes.
Yes, right? In other words, you researching these properties that you're gonna invest in, whether you buy them or not, is gonna benefit you, either A, they're gonna list with you, which will help fund your other investments, or B, you get them to keep as rentals or flips, which you obviously benefit from. Either way is a winner, right? And there's on the buying in too, a lot of them need to move somewhere else. If those tenants want to move, they might want to buy something, and they may not want to buy the one they're in. Maybe their family's grown, great, we'll help them find something. You see what I mean? Okay. Yes, question.
I have a question.
Yes.
You were just talking about something sell for less than.
Short sale. Sell for less than what they own on the property. If somebody bought a home, and this, we don't see this much right now. Like,
Well, I usually do short sell sometimes.
You've done them before?
Yeah, and I have one that I'm working on now, but, so all you do really is kind of like the same process of doing a loan modification. But you have them complete the paperwork, you send it into the lender sends out an appraiser to appraise the property. Then the lender tells you what their bottom line is, what they're gonna accept on the property.
Right.
And then you can either change the list price to list it for that amount. Or if you already have a buyer and the contract that you have, if they already accept that, if it's a lower amount for what the seller owes on the property, then the lender either agrees to take it, and then there's paperwork that you do with the seller, and then you go to closing.
Write this word down, deficiency judgment, waiver of deficiency judgment.
Right.
If you're protecting them, you want to get a waiver of deficiency judgments. They know what a deficiency judgment is?
So you don't get charged money, is that the difference between what
Yes.
they owe
They
and.
can come back, and they can do this in foreclosures too. Have I seen them do it? No, because I haven't seen every deal out there. Is it happening? Probably, right? So if it goes to the courthouse steps, they don't get a waiver, the deficiency judgment waiver. That company, that bank could come back later If they're smart, they can pay somebody to do this. They have like a 2 or 3 year window or something like that to look and say, hey, you're making good money, you need to repay this loss that we had.
Oh, yeah.
And they can slap it on, right?
I've seen more in Florida than here. Anyway.
When you get the short sale approval letter, have them add that in there. Deficiency judgment waiver, where the lending agency, anybody affiliated with them agrees will never come after that client to pay the deficiency judgment.
Right, and then confirm
I
to
had
the
one during a short sale,
attorney.
but
You have anything else you want to add, Mary Ann? Okay, go ahead.
I had one during a short sale where the seller made too much money for the bank to approve the short sale, and they wanted a higher amount for the house,
Yes.
and they would not give them a deficiency judgment. They asked the seller to pay the difference after the short sale was completed.
So I'm gonna doc applies in this one, before I forget the term, write it down, the word insolvency. What you need to be able to prove, what the client needs to be able to prove with their lender is financial insolvency. Means they can't pay for anything, right? And what's your name, by the way?
My name's Michelle.
Michelle, nice to meet you, right? So what Michelle was saying is, when you do these short sales, just like you apply for a regular loan showing you can afford the home, when these clients are doing a short sale, they're giving their information back to the lender, same stuff. Tax returns, bank statements, W-2s, to show they can't afford the home. Here's the biggest mistake I saw with short sales, and I've done a ton of them, I've been on both sides, buyer side and listing side, personally walk people through. They do need to be listed, by the way, they have to be listed. They have, in order, most of them, in order to give you a price, it has to be listed, so you have to get an offer on the property. Quick tip, what would be an easy way to get an offer on a property? If you know this is gonna, exactly, even if you know the number's not gonna work, call an investor to say, hey, give me an offer. That way I can at least submit it to the bank and see what they're gonna accept, right? If they turn it down, no big deal, right? There's some, I don't wanna go down a tunnel on this, because of the amount of time we have, but here's the key to this. Has to be listed. If you see a listing agent listing a $500,000 home
Yeah.
for $250,000, you know, and your buyers get all excited about it and go under contract for $250,000. What do you think that bank's gonna say 60, 90, 100 days, 120 days later?
Probably no.
No, they're like, you've lost your stinking mind. We're not selling it, but we'll sell it for $450. And your client's like, I can't afford $450. And they got all excited about the super great deal they were gonna get for $250 and it didn't happen. So you need to ask the listing agent, hey, I'm curious, how'd you come up with that price? And you need to educate your buyers on, hey, just because you saw this listing price, it is, unless they've already gone to the bank and had an offer from an investor previously that they processed, ask that listing agent, do you have an approval for this price? And if they don't, and they're just saying, oh, we're just throwing it out there, trying to get a bunch of offers, you know, then you need to inform your client that it's probably not going to go through for that, and they need to be prepared to find something else. Make sense?
And even if they have gotten an approval,
Mm-hmm.
it's possible they approved it for Mr. Smith
Right.
at X price up until such and such day,
Okay.
and if Mr. Smith pulls out, too bad, we start the process all over
They
again.
do, and there are usually expirations on the approval letters for how long it has to close in. And unfortunately, when they give approval, they usually give like a 2-week window after that, like,
That's it.
you better close, you know?
Yeah.
So you gotta have people lined up, ready to step in if it doesn't happen. Here's another red flag with short sales. If you talk to that listing agent, I would ask them this question. Hey, I'm just curious, how many offers do you plan on submitting to the lender?
Right.
It's a trick question,
Yeah,
because they need to only submit one. How many houses do they have to sell?
one,
One. How many purchase and sale agreements can your client sign off on?
Why?
One, right? So these are the red flags. How'd you come up with that price?
Yeah.
And how many offers are you submitting to the lender? Have those 2 questions handy, and you'll know really quick if you're dealing with an experienced agent or not.
Well, can I say this?
Please, yeah.
When I do the short sales, the lenders have taught me that they want us to sell the house for the highest price value as possible. So we list the property for the value of the property. The lender will discount the property at 10% automatic. The other thing that you need to know is if there's any repairs that need to be done on the property, they need proof of how much those repairs cost
Yes.
in order to reduce the price for those amount of repairs.
Yes, get it, you just touched on it, I'm so glad you mentioned this, I can tell you've done your stuff before, this is awesome. Get a quote, and what you're looking for, when you're trying to save a deal, you're trying to get the cheapest one possible. In this scenario, you're trying to get them to agree to a lower price, so you need to call the contract and be like, look, Don't give me the just Band-Aid it, give me the do it the best you possibly can, worst case scenario price. It isn't like, hey, fix this one piece of siding of masonite or LP siding, it's like, how much siding do you think you might run into when you're pulling this stuff off? Well, give me that price, worst case scenario. That's what you're submitting to the bank, because you're working for the client, you're trying to save them from foreclosure by getting a short sale approved. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We could spend, I mean, 2
We could spend
hours
2 days.
on 2 days on short sales. This was kind of an overview. If you run into a short sale and you need advice, give me a call. I'll give you some advice and I'll get you in touch with somebody that can help you. O'Kelly and Soran, Michael, maybe great too, probably. I know O'Kelly used to have their own short sale apartment. And a lot of them shut it down because most people have more equity in their home than what's worth right now. But that could change. If prices don't continue to go up, 20% per year, which they're not right now. They're getting reeled back in. Yes, the market's crazy again, but they're not going up 20-30% like they were in the past, right? They're actually relatively flat from where they were last year, okay? Doesn't mean we're not getting multiple offers, we are, but the prices are relatively flat. So if we did FHA or whatever, 3.5% down, and they don't have any equity in the home, they gotta do a short sale. Especially if the property got run down the past 2 years, had flood damage, had something happen, or whatever else, right? They absolutely probably need to do a short sale. Make sense? You guys got that? That was like your 4-minute crash course on short sales, I believe we're recording this. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So go back and watch it. I talk fast. I know I do. Hit pause, listen to it again. That's a lot. And the reason is I know we want to get through the remainder of this material today, and I'm more than happy to come
I
back,
joined this.
sit down, have a conversation with you, maybe a small group, and we can talk about it a little more, okay? So, auction properties, if it doesn't sell, so if somebody is going into foreclosure, they have a period of time to fix that. If they don't fix it, it goes to the courthouse steps, gets auctioned off the highest bidder on the first Tuesday of every single month. Auction starts at 10 a.m. Tax auction starts at 9, but the property buying the home starts at 10. Yeah.
What happens if all the properties don't get sold?
They can get sold.
They all,
That's
if it
the
doesn't
bank
sell,
saying that.
you can buy it.
The
Like,
bank
let's say
says
they,
that.
the starting bid price is gonna be $438,500. Nobody bids on it. They say going once, going twice, nobody says anything, sold that to lender for $438,000 on the, whatever of June 2023.
Right,
You see what I mean?
it goes then
Yeah.
to the lender.
And that's what this is. REO, who remembers what that stands for?
Real estate owned.
Real estate owned. You have a balance sheet, assets and liabilities, right? That's on their liability side. They don't want to own real estate. They want to own loans, right? Makes sense?
And be really careful, because there's an awful lot of people that do not know what that means, and there are listings out the wazoo that say real estate owned, and these agents have
Yes,
no
they have no clue.
what the heck they're talking about.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Especially when you're,
Sorry.
Educate your client.
Yeah, we
Right.
Not me yet, but.
No, when you're searching for properties and you've got clients that are like, oh, it's like, no, they checked the wrong box.
Right, exactly. It happens. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so capital of 6 days of foreclosure. We spent time on this last time. I'm just giving you a recap, just so you know how it works, right? Payment of default, borrower has missed a payment, the lender sent them a notice. Okay, they get a notice in the mail, Okay, the notice of default, so this happens after 90 days of missed payments. They may miss a payment, 15, 20, 30 days late, they get a letter, hey, you missed a payment, get current. After 90 days, they get the notice of default. That is a physical notice that gets recorded, right? So loan is handed over to the lenders. I should visualize this so we can see in the room.
Yep.
I know everybody at home can see, but let's make this smaller. Very cool. Oh, Mickey's on, good. So loan handed over to the lender's foreclosure department, borrower is informed that the notice will be recorded. Remember I told you you can buy those notice of default lists? Where can you buy that? What website? Listsource.com, right? Lender typically gives another 90 days for them to settle the payment and reinstate the loan. So what's the quickest the foreclosure is gonna happen?
What, 90?
90 plus 90,
90 plus.
plus that month they gave them to even give them a notice, which we're talking
7 months.
7 months at the quickest.
Yet it can happen a lot
Most
faster
lenders
in
don't
Georgia.
foreclose that fast.
Most of them don't. I've seen ones that they've been behind for a year and a half, 2 years,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, notice of, so after you go through that, now notice of upcoming foreclosure. This is where when you log on to Realist, it'll have that little flag and tell you, oh, this is upcoming. By the time it pops on there, it's getting foreclosed on the next few weeks, right? Remember, 4 consecutive weeks prior to the first Tuesday of the month, right? So it's within that window, is what it looks like.
And be careful with those long months that we get.
Yes, right, exactly.
They may not be in the newspaper the first Thursday.
Right.
Because there could be 5 Thursdays.
Sure. All right, so now goes to the courthouse steps auction, okay? They had that notice in there for those weeks, go to the courthouse auction. First Tuesday of every month, 10 a.m. is the, if you want to buy the property. You can do tax sales at 9, but there's a 1-year redemption period if you buy a tax sale, okay? So buying the property, 10 a.m., okay? All right, now, what happens if it, couple tips before, yeah, Chuck, go ahead.
I went to Forsyth County, the auction.
You did this a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. I went
Tell us about it.
so the tax side was very organized.
Yes.
They came in at 10 o'clock, they came in, they went through them all, you had to have you get in there a little early to get a little badge with a number on it, so you can do your,
They have a podium, they call it out, yeah.
and of course, they don't know anything about the foreclosure side. They're like, yeah, it's on the other side, it starts at 10 to, you go over there.
Oh,
and-
there's a 9. The tax one is at the same time.
10 o'clock. You go over to the other side, there was nothing, I guess auctions.com does do stuff,
Yeah.
they had canceled. So there were just a couple people kind of rummaging around, it's like, no direction, just hung out, I was talking to people or whatever else. A nondescript lady just kind of walks up and goes, got 2 foreclosures.
Oh, yeah.
And,
They still around in t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like, they were second district, certain, like, what, these people are like ants.
Yeah.
Like, what? No, they're peeking over their
It's
shoulder.
not very easy and it's very unorganized. I went to Gwinnett counties last week. It was the same way that you just described it. It's like chaos.
But it was very informative, and I look forward to doing it again, I guess, on the 5th, or Wednesday, since Tuesday's a holiday in July.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was very interesting, very informative, and I look forward to finding some properties.
Chuck, did you write down what the property addresses were and what they sold for?
I did not.
I would
I
recommend doing
did.
that.
I
Yeah.
noticed, a whole great deal of them only went for $1 over what was actually owed on it when
Yeah.
you go and purchase. So,
Is that Gwinnett?
in Gwinnett, I noticed, so if the property was $468, for example, and somebody was there and said, hey, I want that property, they got it for $469. Right.
Mhm.
So $1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
We had 2 people there that were back and forth, one would be like 120, and then it would be 121,
Mhm.
122, 122, 123, and it was just like. Initially filled for like 260, but they just went back and forth until one was like, that's outside of mine.
It's a fun experience just to go see how it works. It's absolutely
Yeah.
fascinating and it's a hot stinking mess.
I
you know?
noticed on the tax
What?
sales that they kind of fight for them a little bit more.
Mhm. Well, the prices are lower. You're just paying the tax.
Like, yeah, they like back and forth, just fighting over this one property that might obviously was a big house.
Right.
Well, and they've searched ahead of time.
Yeah, and they always research ahead of time, you're
The
right.
tax one, you minimum you gotta make on that is 20%.
Oh, you need to build enough margin in, because these are properties you don't get a chance to inspect before they go, you know?
Right, but you have to wait a year.
For, the
That's-
tax sale.
So you have to wait, you have to wait a year, and the owner of the place couldn't pay it back, they had to pay you an additional 20%.
Right.
That's a great return.
Right, exactly, right, in under a year, so, you know,
So
but that's a nice thing, if you can type your money.
this is me personally, I did not like buying properties that had people in them. You know, because dealing with an eviction, kicking somebody out of their home, that is not a fun process. Have I done it? Yes, multiple times. Did I enjoy it? Not at all. And I really limited them as much as possible, like last resort, I would do that. And I did something called cash for keys for them. You know, we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
Where I go to them, I pay them $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in exchange for them giving me a clean, empty house and a set of keys within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And that $5,000, they think about it, they've been in this home for a long time, probably paying nothing. They're probably fat, flat broke. They don't know where they're gonna go. They know it just went to auction. And what they usually say, like, you're gonna pay me? Not just a baby. I'm like, yeah, I don't wanna do an eviction. I wanna help you get to this next chapter of your life, you know? So let's make that happen. And I haven't yet to ask somebody to push back on that. dozens of these, yet that's when we push back.
But the foreclosure attorneys only offer them $1,000 for their keys so that they can bring the keys in, so they don't have to evict them.
Right.
So it makes Aubrey different.
And
Right. Better.
that's when you're dealing with a foreclosure, but there are foreclosure companies out here that you can hire to do the eviction for you
Process, yeah.
if you don't want to do it.
Right, yeah. Yes.
But all of this, you need cash.
You do.
correct? Okay.
We're gonna get to that in a second. The courthouse steps auction, you have to go with cash.
Yeah.
It's not actually cash, it's cashiers and checks, right?
Right.
The way you do it, right? And then whatever you don't spend, you get back. So if you buy a house for $480, you hand them $500,000 worth of checks, they don't give you the $20,000 back then, they mail it to you 30 days later, right? That's the way it works.
Let me ask you a question on somebody who's never done it. So when you get a cashier's checks in different denominations, I imagine, right? Do you make it out
To
to yourself and then you sign it off to them?
You sign it,
So you
flip it over.
catch you lose on something, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't sign them to back of them until you actually win the
So you
property.
win the property.
And then you sign it over at hand to them, you hold that envelope tight. And if you don't use it, you flip it over and write not used for intended purpose, you give it back to your bank, they deposit money back. in the
No,
account.
you shouldn't.
If you need
You
cash,
cash yourself.
you make them out yourself, yeah, or your LLC or whatever else, you know. So that's the way to do it. If you don't have the cash, find a partner or somebody that will do it with you. You can't go to, somebody and get a loan for it. That is like a standard traditional lender, but they won't give you that, right? Because they don't have the opportunity to inspect it and get the appraisal done and all that. So again, we spent a lot of time on that last time. This is more like an overview, kind of a recap, because we retain a very small portion of what we hear. So it's so smart to hear it at least one more time. You gotta hear it 5 or 6 times before you retain it all. So go back, listen to this. If this is the part that interests you the most, have more questions, reach out to me. And if you have a property that you're looking at, you just want some advice, call me, send me an email, send me an address. Yes, I'm busy, right? So sometimes I may say, let me get you in touch with somebody else to help you. If I have time to do a little research for you, I'll happily help you. Okay, so, all right, we'll talk about financing here in a minute, which we talked a little bit about last time. All right, so it goes to the courthouse steps, nobody buys it, then the bank gets it as real estate owner, which we talked about earlier. And then unfortunately, if people are there, they have to deal with eviction, right? That whole slide. That you have, I'll send these out later. So that, if you got my email yesterday, I don't think Debbie did, I'll send it to you, If you got my email last night, say last night, then you will definitely get these slides. If you didn't get my email last night, then please email me and I will.
You mean what you sent this morning?
Was it this morning that I sent it? Yeah.
Saying that it was.
Yeah.
This morning.
A daily at kw.com. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can you make it cash flow club financial freedom today?
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the subject of it, just to say, slides from cash flow club, so. Cool. So have that. Okay, all right, what happens if it doesn't sell, comes to real estate owned property, bank owned, when will we see on MLS? Good question. I've seen some that sat there, my in-laws had a house across the street from them for 2 years, it sat there after the courthouse steps. Why? There was something going on with the title in the background, that was causing them to not be able to sell the property, there's a cloud on the title, they had to fix that. So, no telling. This is why it's smart. If you see an empty property, you can hop on, the site we looked at last time, GeorgiaPublicNotice.com and see, was it a foreclosure? Is that what happened? Great. Who was the bank, that had that home? Because it probably went back to them. Then you do a little research, contact the bank, say, hey, what's going on with this one? Okay. Here's how the bank does ultimately end up listing real estate owned properties. There's not many of them.
No.
0.6 or 0.4 of the properties right now that sell on MLS are foreclosures. If you have somebody, an investor, coming to you saying, hey, I want to buy, foreclosed and distressed homes, I'd ask this question. I appreciate that. What's more important to you? That is labeled as a bank owned home, or that you get a good deal on home?
Right.
If they're smart, they'll say, well, it's more important that I get a good deal. Say, great, let's focus on finding you a good deal rather than finding you a bank-owned distressed property, But that's how you do it. It's under special conditions. That's where it is, where it says, real estate owned or owned. If they check the right stinking box, right? Some of the agents checked it.
People don't know what it is.
They don't, and they don't.
They don't know
understand
what it
language.
is.
How would you know if it's bank-owned? Without even calling them, how would you know? What's the way to find out? Click on realist. You can see.
Yeah, too, yeah.
Yeah.
Property. You look at the, and the description.
Right. Oddly enough, 112 came up. You see that? I can't remember what area. This is real recent. It is.
There's
couple
a
weeks ago.
couple in Snellville. There's a few in Snellville.
Snellville,
There you go.
Loganville.
There you go.
I know you may not be having examples, they may be great.
No, yeah, but a lot of them are like listed for $87,000, you know, and yeah, you'd have to call and find out if they, right, it's been approved and all that. I had a client that was trying to buy and kept coming across like two, and I'm like, we're not gonna look at these right now. Like this.
Right, cash flow, homes, feeling resourceful, here's another way to do it, if you want to find out what these big banks have, go contact the loss mitigation department of large banks, just type in Wells Fargo, loss mitigation department, Chase, loss mitigation department, and Google their phone numbers. Want to go another way to get this contact information? Why don't you go on LinkedIn and find out who's the loss mitigation person for these big banks? That'd be another way to do it.
That would be the better way.
Yeah, be a better way. I call and ask them how you help. Because I say, I saw you have a handful of properties that went to the courthouse steps, you got picked up. I'd love to earn the right to be your listing agent. What do I need to do to earn that right? Ask them that question. They'll tell you. What the process typically is, because I've done this, is do BPOs for them, broker price opinions, where they pay you $100, $50, you know, to get them an opinion on what you think it'll ultimately sell for or be worth. Then they rate you on how accurate you are. And after they've sold a couple of properties, they'll say, you've been pretty accurate. Would you like to list them? You know, I listed a lot of properties. We've had agents in our group. Gina Sharp was actually one of the top REO agents in our area a number of years ago. You know, so there, if you need advice on how to do this, reach out to me. I'll connect you with somebody that's done this. Okay. Okay. All right. Funding inventory. How do I find it? So let's talk about this one first. Hard money mistakes and avoiding getting stuck. So if you just go on to Google and type in hard money lender, you're gonna find a million people that do hard money. Some of these people are sharks, like they're looking to take advantage of it. So I recommend networking and asking who knows somebody that's used a hard money lender here locally. I hesitate to recommend them. I don't want to put my name to that, and that's why I have a bad experience. But I know some other agents in our group that have used hard money lenders that can give you their experience, and actually a couple of them really liked it, you know? So how does this work? What are the biggest mistakes? They're gonna charge you, just like a lender would, a fee up front. They're usually gonna expect you to have a little money in the game, and they're gonna charge you a pretty substantial interest rate. What does that look like? 10 to 15%, that's pretty typical, right? So you're paying some fees up front, and then you're gonna pay 10, 15% interest. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make. I'm not opposed to doing a hard money loan. I'm not. Here's when I'm okay with it, right? If you have the ARV right to after, what does ARV stand for?
Fair value.
I almost gave you the answer. I'm gonna make sure we're learning, right? After repair value. If you have that right, move your numbers back into it. Okay, what's the remodel gonna cost? Okay, what other fees am I gonna have in there? HOA dues, prorated taxes, utilities, vacant property insurance, right? All that stuff. And then minus whatever your hard money cost is gonna be. And then minus the profit margin you're okay with, now you have what you can offer on the property. As long as you do it that way and you're not just throwing something out there saying, oh, it'll be fine. Market's going up 20%. It'll fix itself. That's not happening right now. You better not do that. Be smart. Okay, be smart. Here's the other mistake people make. What if does anybody know exactly what's gonna happen in the market? For sure. No, none of us know, right? What happened? I don't think it's gonna happen. It'd be very hard. What if the market did take a turn? All of a sudden it's worth less than what you thought it was selling, and it doesn't work anymore. And now you can't get it sold for what you want to, and you can't do the burn method anymore. Now you're stuck with it. What happens? Yeah, you rent it. And what if you're on a hard money loan? And that hard money loan, the payment is $3,500 a month, and your rent's only good for $2,500. Guess what's happening to you? You're swallowing that $1,000 a month. So if you are choosing to do a hard money loan, you better make sure the numbers work for you in the worst case scenario. Do the numbers still work? Does that make sense? Can't stress that enough. Okay, I see smiles. I know people probably have heard stories about how this can happen. Okay, all right, leverage the MLS to identify investors. So we're talking about funding inventory. Where can I find money? Yeah, sure, hard money is one of them. What if you went in the MLS? Oh, that's the third one, right? Profit share to fund your investments. Did you know that's how Linda McKissick bought? They have 7 figures of passive income a year, right? From rental properties that were all bought from money for profit share. Separate account, right? All right, here's how you leverage the MLS. I did this literally this morning. I added this slide in here. So take a look here. I did residential detached and attached. I did 0 to 750 days. They closed in the past couple of years. I typed in Norcross. I just picked Norcross, right? And then I went down to additional fields. I added additional fields. and where it says, terms, it doesn't show it. I did cash. It
Right,
is
it
gray
does
right
show
here,
it,
it's hard to
yeah.
see, but I did cash. So now I know who bought properties with cash in Norcross over the last couple years. You guys see it?
Uh-huh,
Chances are a large chunk of those were probably what?
investors.
Investors. So now you call them and you say, hey, this is XYZ with Keller Williams. And listen, I saw you bought a couple, real properties or a couple properties with cash over the, past couple of years. Congratulations. I'm curious. If I came across a really good deal and I was looking for Slater, would you be interested in partnering with me? If somebody called me with that, I'd probably say yes. What do you want my involvement to be? And what I want you to say is you, the agent, are the one making all the decisions. You really want a silent investment partner. You don't need two cooks in the kitchen saying, I think we should do this granite. I think we should do this granite. I think we should do this flooring. I know we should accept that offer. I know we should do this. Don't do that. Say, I just want an investor, a cash investor invest with me. You will see all of the properties before we make any offers on them. You will be in the first, we'll do a promissory note, a security deed. That way you have, if I did something I wasn't supposed to do, you get the property, right? See what I mean? You can protect them, but that's how you can identify. I did this morning, 242, right? Just go through the list, click on the property, click on relist. Now you have their name. Then click on what? You have their phone number, and then pick up the phone and call them. These are people that bought with cash. In order to buy with cash, they have to have some sense, and then unless it was given, the cash was given to them. So if you call them, like a smart business person had said that, hey, I'm an agent in the area, and every now and then I come across really good deals. Sometimes I can't finance all of them myself. I'm looking for a business partner. I'm just curious if I found a really good deal on the property, would you potentially be open to partnering with me on the deal? Most investors will be like, sure, yeah, numbers make sense, I'll do that. That's what, remember Brett Tanner?
Because you're doing the hardest part, which is find the deal.
Yeah, it's fun the deal. I mean, this person, basically what you're saying is, hey, I'm gonna make you 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, or whatever you decide to split with them. You don't have to do anything for it. And you're gonna get it within probably 90 days, 120 days. Are you okay with that? Who would say no to that? And I'm gonna protect you because I find it well undervalued. You see what I mean? Most investors would be good with that. That's what Brett Tanner did. I've done that as well. Until I got to the point where I didn't need the money anymore. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. 5 biggest mistakes and how to avoid them. We're not going to dig into all these because we covered a lot of them last time. Inaccurate ARV after a fair value. You have got to get your numbers right. And if you're not comfortable with it, talk to an experienced agent. It's an art form. Okay. If you get that wrong, everything else falls apart. Underestimating what's the cost. Get some quotes, and don't just get one. Get 1 or 2 or 3 quotes on this property to see what the actual numbers are going to be, and look at worst case scenario, not best case.
And add 10%.
Yeah, exactly. I got stuck with one where I lost probably about 100 grand. Just look it up. 83.90 Cent A Drive. I bought it at courthouse steps for 4. This is over on East Road. You know that area?
Yeah.
It backs up to the Chattahoochee River.
Yeah.
Like it was on the Chattahoochee River, right?
Wow.
I bought it for 4 and some change. Sold it for right at $1 million. You think I would have made a lot of money, right? You name what could have gone on that property. I'm talking like a 200-foot retaining wall in the back of the property that you can't see, that was like 30 feet tall, had to be replaced, right? Inside the house, there was a foreclosure, I couldn't walk in it. It had mold throughout the entire thing, had to gut it, water issue, foundation issue, like you name it, HVAC. And the house was stinking like, 10,000 square feet, like the doors, right? I was like, I think that was still.
Well, how long ago was that?
Great question. Sat empty probably for a number of years, would be my guess.
It
Yeah.
actually doesn't take that long,
Yeah.
believe it or not. Yes,
Why?
if it's not properly temperate in the house, it does not take that
So
long.
which one property I lost money on, that's it. Can you tell us more about it?
No,
That was it. Yeah. Could have, but who's gonna, now once I have it and people can see what might be wrong with it,
Right.
you're stuck with it. Could have,
and on top of that, as realtors, we are held
Have
to
to,
a higher
right, you
standard,
have to disclose.
and you have to disclose.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like, even if you disclose, I mean,
Yeah.
do you think you could?
That's what I'm
sell
saying, yeah.
sell it for the same price, like, hey, it's like
With the guy, that sounds super
Yeah.
discounted.
And I got into it, I was thinking, that's okay, and more stuff kept popping up. It wasn't like I
Yeah.
saw all in the beginning, more
Which is
stuff kept popping
good,
up.
because you have that experience now to share.
Oh my goodness, yes, call me, you have a property, I'm gonna look at it, I'll give you your first one, I'm not gonna do everything all the time, but if you have, maybe your first one, you're really nervous, let me know. If I can't get you somebody that can go look at a fellow agent, I'll get somebody else that can, okay, fair enough? No scope of work. You've got to have a written plan with a scope of work of every little thing that they're gonna be doing in that property. Break it down by room. In the kitchen, demo all cabinets, right? Move the electrical outlet and the plumbing over to this wall. Install new cabinets, install backsplash, install 6 recessed lights, you know, install new, whatever it is, like put everything in there that they need to do, everything in there, okay? Have that scope of work. Wrong updates, you're not gonna live in that house, you don't need level 15 granite, right? You don't need the most glorious, wonderful light fixtures and knobs and top end, you're doing just the bare minimum you can do to get by.
But go by
But
the
not
area,
in the,
well, go by the area, if you're in Dunwoody, then you have some.
right.
Oh, you have to match the area, absolutely.
Don't do a builder when you're at a $700,000-800,000.
Discounthomefurnishing.com, great website, you get really affordable faucets, light fixtures, hinges, knobs.
What's
All
the
the
discount one?
stuff, discount home furnishings with an S.com.
I remember now, yeah.
Good site, really good site. The little stuff adds up. I'm telling you, that little stuff adds up to thousands of dollars. Not bulletproof in the transaction. So the example I gave was with your contractors. With your contractors, put in there the date they agree to finish it by. And also put in there, if they don't finish it by that date, you're gonna charge them $100, $200, $300 per day that they don't finish it. They're gonna backpedal, and you're saying, okay, well, what date can you promise me you'll have it done by? And they give you that date, have them sign that, right? That way, they're penalized if they don't get it done, because who's it costing money if it's sitting there? Me, you.
Yeah.
Every stinking day, it's costing you money.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, bonus, this is the biggest one, I wish I would have kept more,
Yeah.
long-term goals. I bought a house, let me give you so many examples, I bought a house over by Kennesaw State University for $38,000.
Oh, my God.
House is worth like
No.
300 something right now,
Yeah.
you know, and it would rent for, I mean, what would the payment be on 38,000? If you chose, can you even finance that? I think you can.
Right.
Like, on a 30-year loan, it'd be like $100. That thing, even if I did it for a Kennesaw State University student, it went for $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month, you know, like, man, I should have kept more. But I'm looking at the quick pop, I want that money, you know? Yes.
So how would you decide which one to hold and not split?
There's a great website, biggerpockets.com. They actually have a calculator that shows you, flip versus hold. It'll help you with that. That'd be the easiest answer I can give you right now. Biggerpockets.com. You can find that calculator on there. Okay.
I would think it somewhat depends on your financial situation.
Oh, yeah, if you need the money to eat, I get it. You know, and set aside a portion of that, right? One for taxes.
Yeah.
And 2, for your future pot of money that you can use, so you don't have to deal with that again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, now that you have the home, what do you do with it? You talk about the Burr method or flip the fund your long-term holds, use the biggerpockets.com calculator, it shows you both. What makes better sense for your money, okay? What other asset do you know of that's free to obtain, has lifetime income, that has no risk? Never get called for a leaky toilet? Never get called? Profit share. Let me give you a quick example, okay? Give you a quick example. Hey, oh, by the way, you know Aaron Hoffman has doesn't he own an island or something in the Caribbean that was paid for with profit share? Blows me away. Okay, take a look at this. What is? Nothing's promised. So this is my disclaimer. It depends on the month somebody caps in, how profitable office is that month. This is not a promise of money, right? But just generally, if you have a capper in your downline, it typically gives $2,000 to $3,000 per capper. Ballpark estimate, that's pretty, now if the office has a bad month or two, and that agent, let's say January, February, and that agent resets in January, February, and the office only makes like $5,000 in profit as a total that month, and that person caps that month, well, sorry for you, you're not getting much money, right? But most months, the office is doing well, and most agents don't cap in 1 month. Make sense?
Yeah.
It's over the course of time. So typically, 2,000 to 3,000 is a good rule of thumb, guaranteed no, but probable, yes, okay? All right, so think about this for a second. You have a rental property, and let's put aside, I want you to get rentals. I want all this to go back to getting rentals, right? Just stay with me for a second. If you have a rental property, it cash flows in today's market, if you can get $300 or $400 a month, that's good, right? How much is that a year? $300 a month.
3,600.
How much you get per capper?
Two to
Two, three, it gets, you take out vacancies or repair, it gets pretty close.
Pretty close.
And it costs you nothing to do it. It costs 0 to get that capper, right? You guys follow me? No leaky toilets, no paying for when somebody's not there, you know, we have vacancies, no deal with repairs, things like that. It's great, it's a great investment. So if you don't have the cash right now, or this makes you nervous to go out and buy real estate, you wanna build a cushion up, what would be a smart thing to do? What should you build?
Downline.
Your downline. And what if your freedom number is, you're like, oh, I just need, you know, $6,000 a month. If that is your number, you're like, that pays my rent, sorry, my house payment, it pays my food, it pays my car payment. If that's your number, $6,000 a month, how much is that a year? 72? Is that right? What's 72 divided by 2 or 3,000? How many people is that in your downline? It's a good bit.
36.
36. What if you were just on a mission to add 1 cap on your downline per month for the next 3 years? It cost you 0 to do. You added 1 person in your downline for the next 3 years. Now you're at a point where you have 70, again, and disclaimer, can't guarantee it, but 70, 80 grand a year in passive income. And you don't have to put down, how much did you have to put down on that? 0. No cash call, time. And honestly, like, people don't want to be recruited, they want to be attracted to a different way of thinking. Invite them to something. And if it's a good fit for them, they're gonna raise their hand and say, I want to be there. If it's not, there's 100 other brokers around the corner, have them go there. You know, don't be that pushy used car salesman, just invite them to be exposed to things, and if they want to be involved, then they come. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, I wanted to show you guys something. The profit share thing will be complicated, I'm not gonna go through it right now, but I do want to share some, we talked about this, how many agents will get your freedom number? What does it cost you to build, maintain it? Nothing, you know, take every stinking dollar. I opened a separate checking, I have a Charles Schwab, you know, high interest checking,
Right.
like 5%, you know, that's good for checking, you know.
Sure.
All of my profit share money goes directly into that account. Okay, my other bank, this is the problem I had for many years at KW, it went directly in that. What do you think I did?
Spend.
You know, my Charles Schwab and my Bank of America, I'm not taking banks there, I don't like them, but whatever, you know, I've just been with them for years. They don't connect. So I can't easily move the money back and forth if I needed it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it stayed, and I don't even look at it that often. I once almost forget about it. And then use that to buy rental properties. Make sense?
Yeah.
So now KW is helping to fund your long-term investment. So take a look at this. You guys know who this is?
Linda.
Linda McKissick?
Yeah.
Take a look at this. I think it'd be important for you to hear her very short story. There we go. Hope this is still online.
Yeah, this price.
Preston.
And bring them to come in. And so I was literally selling and recruited me to come in, and I'll come right away. I didn't get
won't play the rest, I'll just give you the summary, right? She made, heard what you said, she made a plan. After she's challenged to make a plan, she's like, I don't have, she's $600,000 in debt. She's like, I don't have the money to go buy rental properties right now. So instead, I'm gonna do the thing I can do, which is build my profit sharing account, put it in a separate account, use that to fund the property. They did that over the course of the number of deals, hundreds of real estate properties that they really paid nothing for. Profit share did it. So if you're looking for another way, we go one or different ways to fund them. This is one of them. Just make a goal. One capper per month, invite them to something that will help them. Don't say I want to recruit you to AW, that would turn them off, right? Instead, invite them to something that will actually help them. Okay, all right, makes sense?
Yeah.
You might want to share anything, any odds? Who has built their profit share downline so far? Who has got people in their downline? Kevin, thank you. Yeah, a couple. No, that's funny. Yeah. What's that? Right, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a great thing to focus. Okay, all right. Case study. I wanted to recap this one more time as we're kind of wrapping up. Someone buys a home for their grandkid and he or she's the age of 5. $300,000 home. They put 20% down, so that's 60 grand down on the home, right? Let's say it appreciates not at 20, but at 5% per year. Pretty historic standard, right? For 13 years. What will the home be worth in 13 years? The kid's 18 years old. Remember? Ballpark. What do you think? If I have 300, 13 years later, what's it worth? 5% a year.
It's compounds.
Close, yeah, really close. Yeah, 565, 694. Okay, what do they all pay? Let's say it was, I think I read the number like 6 something percent interest rate, you
Less
know.
than 240.
Yeah.
Less than 240.
What we owed, 183,746. Okay, what did they put down this one?
60.
60 grand, right? So starting about 300 after 13 years, 5% interest rate worth $565,000. It shows that schedule right there. Okay. How much do they need to fund both kids out college education? It depends on the school. If they have 2 kids, 2 to 4, it depends, right? Could be more, could be less. Okay. Do they have enough? Well, let's take a look. 565,000 future value minus 183 future balance in the mortgage is 381,948. Okay. And here's one other interesting thing on this. What if they took that $300 in cash flow per month and invested it into an index fund, right? They just got 8% interest rate. They'd have another 60 grand by that time. You see it, right? So now it covers whatever cost of commission and everything else to sell the home. Make sense? Right? And that's the more than $400,000. What would their return be? It was over 18%. You know, yeah, it may have been over 20 after I calculated in the cash flow on it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
They put down 60 grand and they get a roughly 20% return on that property on a home that's one of the most financially stable investments you can possibly have. Make sense? I'll give you one other tidbit. Don't buy a home. This is tough for me to say, but it's really important to hear. Don't buy a home. Now, I want everybody to go buy homes. Don't buy a home unless you can afford to float the mortgage. I don't ever want you to float the mortgage, but if worst case scenario, they were gone and you can't afford it, you would be forced to make a decision that would be bad for you financially. Make sense? Okay. All right, what we learned so far, we calculated your true financial freedom number. Everybody has yours written down. We've identified your gap. And where are you at now? If you need $6,000 a month and you have $500 a month right now, well, that's $5,500 a month gap. And we close it, right? So we discussed the different investment vehicles that we can use to get there. Okay. We did a 5-year acquisition, a 5-year payoff plan. That was one of our previous ones. We did 3 creative tips on maximizing your rental income. Remember, we talked about washer and dryer package. We talked about lawn care, the tip on home warranty. And then what was the other one you mentioned? You mentioned
Air filter.
Air filter.
$50 filter.
Yeah, hey, why not? You know, we talked about the bird method. Investing. We covered short sales, auction properties, foreclosures, and REOs, right? We talked about where to find properties, and we covered that more last time, you know, when we talked about listsource.com, you know, getting a list of free foreclosures and things like that, right? We talked about FMLS, we talked about, last time we showed letters, I sent a lot of letters, and I bought the absentee and equity owner list, and I showed you guys letters last time. When I send the recap out, you'll have copies of them.
Awesome.
R&D, rip off the duplicate, I put Brett Tanner's in there too, the ones he uses right now, right? How to fund them, talk about how to fund them, different ways to fund them, and the mistakes you can make when we do that. Talk about the 5 biggest mistakes flippers make. Key, right? You have to buy them right, that ARV has got to be spot on and do those other tips. And we kind of ended with profit share. Like if you don't have the money and this makes you nervous, then do profit share. There's 0 risk with it. Start there. The point is start somewhere. Start with something today. Otherwise, education without implementation of what?
Infotainment.
Right, and you can either have 20 years of experience in this business, or you can have 1 year of experience 20 times. You're gonna be here 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. You might as well make sure that future is what you want it to be. And it starts with you internally, right? So take a look at your sheet, your piece of paper, right? Look in the back here. Okay, under the notes section, right back here, just above it, says, what's your first step as you leave here today? What's your first step? I'm gonna give you some ideas, and we're gonna go on the ring. Give me an idea. Give me an idea. Yeah. Oh, you did that?
No, the paper.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, we got, oh, okay.
Here you go. Gotcha. Oh, sorry, I should have given you one earlier. Yeah. No worries. So one of them, you could say, look, the only thing I can do right now, I don't have a lot of extra money, but what I can do is go open a separate checking account that I'm gonna direct my profit share to. So what you do is this afternoon, go to the bank, open up the account, go over to LB and say, hey, here's my new account information. Done, right? Whatever that ends up being, now you have some passive income going to a separate account that you don't touch. That could be step one, okay? You're gonna look up 6 months from now, there should be some money in there. You're like, that's great, I love this, right? Okay, you could say, hey, here's one thing I can do today. Form a small group with the people at your table in the room right now. And you can say, you know what? What's your goal? What's your goal? Let's meet 30 days from now. And let's meet every 30 days. Let's go have coffee or breakfast. And let's just share what we're doing on this journey. Right? Okay. Go talk with your lender to see if you might qualify for it. Remember, I talked earlier, actually last time, about I used Providence Bank in the past. You know, they're over there in Alpharetta on the corner of Woodward Parkway and Highway 9. Right? And they'll do funding for these types of countries. And they're not a hard money, like 10, 12% lender, you know? So talk with the local community banks and see if they have a unique, it's called a portfolio loan. Portfolio means they keep it in-house. They're not selling it to conforming standards, you know, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, you know, all that stuff. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, yeah. Go talk to lenders, see what you might qualify for. Attend a class on this again. Like, I don't know everything. I know what I've experienced and just I've shared my mistakes and wins and everything with you. Be a student of this. Pick up audio book. Go on Audible when you leave here. Maybe that's your one thing. Your one thing this afternoon might be, I'm downloading on you know, real estate investing. You know, could be your one thing could be, I'm gonna listen to the Bigger Pockets podcast on going from 0 to 100 units in 2 years. Like, they have podcasts you can listen to for free, right? What's it for you? What are you gonna do? Somebody share it. We're not leaving until we get at least 4 people to share what they're gonna do.
Next steps.
Debbie, I saw Debbie's hand go up first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I already spoke to my lender,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna actually submit the paperwork to get pre-approved.
Turn the dots. Yeah, turn the dots. Hey, way to go. Give her a round of applause.
Hey, Debbie.
Way to go. Hey, I'm going to do this today. Okay, Chuck.
I talked to Notice Bank and I'm working out, moving some money around to get the margin lower
Mhm.
for a HELOC on my house for extra cash.
There you go. So Novus is a great option. They'll do up to 100% of your 90% of the
89,
89, yeah, of the.
depending on LTV will depend on the margin.
Right.
Right, yeah, right.
So smaller, the house is worth more,
Got it.
smaller margin, smaller work.
Makes sense. What's the next step for you, Chuck, in that process?
Well, it's got to get the HELOC.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
Submitting
moving,
docs.
I'm IRAs, I'm moving 401k money over to get that margin even smaller.
Okay.
If you have over $100,000 in bank with it, they'll take off 0.5%.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
You open a checking account with them, that automatically debits, they take off another 0.25%.
That's great. You knocked off 0.75.
Yeah, 0.75. So
Great.
I'm looking
That's
for
phenomenal.
the margin to be like 0.4,
Yeah.
I'm getting the 0.75 on anything less
so.
here.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. So, right, so you're, on that piece of paper, you're writing down, I'm going to move this money around this week and you're signing it.
Well, it's already in process. So I've already done all that. And then after I get the loan, I'm gonna take that money and move it over to self-directed IRA.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
use that to help purchase,
Give Chuck a round of applause. Take it action. There you go. It could be a smaller bit. Go ahead.
I went ahead and opened Home Depot accounts.
Yeah.
It's the first class, you know.
Yes.
Did that
You
yesterday.
have a contractor.
I've had it in my head for years. And I'm sorry, not just open it myself. I need to now open it as an LLC later. or something.
Gotcha.
I just figured out how to do something.
Yeah, you took a step. You took a step, right?
Right.
So you did that, and he's talking about you can put things through something called bid room at Home Depot and Lowe's. I forget which one called it what, but it's called bid room. You'll get a lower price on your material, package it all together. So
That's right.
what's your next step? What's your next step? You already did that. What's the next step on that journey? Something small you could do today, tomorrow, next week.
I don't know, I just like the podcast you mentioned on.
There you
Bigger
So,
Pockets.
when I'm download the bigger podcast podcast, I'm gonna listen to one episode a day for the next 30 days. Right?
Easy enough, yeah.
Give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, one more, we got here. Yes.
I'm gonna ask for your opinion on properties that I found.
Happy to help. Yeah, reach out to me. Happy to do that. So that means you need to identify. You said you already found them?
Yeah.
Perfect. Reach out to me. Send me an email. You got my
Nice.
email. Oh, it's up there on the other page. Send me an email. You know, you go. So give them a round of applause. Anybody else want to share anything?
Any questions? Is anybody?
Have you ever used auction.com?
Oh, yes, absolutely, a bunch. Yeah, so I'll go there with the cash and I'll show them like cashier checks and they'll give me a bid number, but I'm not necessarily just gonna buy some of their properties. Like when you were at the steps, there's actually been times where I'm listening to that person, like you mentioned, that lady who's not with auction.com, I'm bidding on that property. Bidding on another. Yeah, absolutely.
As far as their website goes, you use their website.
Website's great. Don't pay attention to the starting bid number. It's a fat lot. Because what they're gonna do is you're like, oh, I won the property. It's like, you know, it's a $400,000 property. And they're like, 245,000 going once, going twice. And you're like, I'm gonna get it. And they're like, yeah, reserve bid on behalf of the lender. For $280,000. Yeah,
Some
that's
people
amazing.
show reserve and some of them don't.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, we got one thing on the well plan.
I got a question.
Questions?
Yes. I see a lot of wholesaling going on sometimes and are realtors not allowed to like get into?
I love that question. And there are some realtors that do it. Think about this though, step back and look at big picture. What is wholesaling? Wholesaling is finding a seller, getting them under contracts and they'll sell it for a certain price. And then getting them to, and then assigning that contract to somebody else, right, for a margin. That's one way to do it, right? That's the most common way to do it. What does an agent do? An agent finds a seller who wants to sell, and rather than just, showing and exposing it to a handful of investors, they expose it to the whole world, and they get paid money to do it. So if like, let's say you were gonna make $5 grand or 10 grand or 15 grand as a wholesaler, you know, you can do that kind of a listing too. Like you could say, like, if it's a $200,000 property, rather than doing it for whatever, I can't state percentage rates and whatever your percent is, I'm gonna use like, there is no standard, we're only, okay. I can
Use
be careful.
10% is easy math.
Okay, anyway, you could say, for my services, I'm not gonna charge you what my office typically charges. Instead, I'm gonna charge you this, and it could be more, you know what I'm saying, than what you typically would charge as a percent. That's okay, but now you're getting exposure to the whole world, you're doing right by that person. I'm not saying agents out there don't do wholesaling, they do, and they're not looking at it right, you know? You could participate, here's another option, and who's done this recently? I think Jamie Simpson's doing this right now at one of the other, the Roswell office. And then who else has done this? The name will come back to me. You may have a seller that if they have the property, it's beat up, it needs work, you're like, I could wholesale or list it, but then they say, you're like, man, what if I just partnered with them? I could put my own money in this property, I could assign a lien on the property, mechanics lien on the property for whatever amount of money you put in there. And that way they have to sell it, have them sign a document, says they will sell it by this date, right? If you need help with this, let us know, we should touch the right person, right? But you could partner with them, you say, look, this is how this would sound like with them. You can get so much more for your home, if we just do a little bit of upgrades. I know you don't have the money to do that, what if I partner with you? What if I funded it for you, and then as a partnership, we figure out what that would be worth, right? Can't be in that listing, but you could figure out what that would be worth. Yeah, yes.
I was involved in a sale, just helping the buyer buy a house, and then I realized there was a warehouse involved.
Mhm.
The guy got paid 12.5%.
Yeah. I mean, 12.5% of, let's say, 200 grand is $24,000.
I just gave him 250, yeah, it was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but you could say, you could go to that same person and say, look, I'm gonna do all this work, and we pay $24,000 to do it.
Yeah,
And they can say, you realize that's the second box down, third box down,
Yeah.
it's like the first 1%, second one could be a flat amount.
Flat amount.
Like, I'm gonna be more than the average agent's doing to make this happen, and I should be kind of, get you substantially more than the average agent will bring you, you know, let's compensate appropriately, you know, make sense? Okay. So, good question, any other questions? Anything else you want to say? Is this helpful? Helping guys?
Fantastic. Thanks, operator.
But I'll leave you guys with this. This is one of my favorite stories to share. There's a story about a baby elephant, right? In the circus. You guys, if you ever been to a circus, heard of circus, or have you seen it, right?
Yeah.
And when they're small, they drive this little stake in the ground, they tie a chain around this baby elephant's leg. The baby elephant just fights and kicks and screaming, making all kinds of noise because it wants to get away from that. And at some point, as the baby goes by, days, weeks, months go by, the elephant does what? Stop fighting. It realizes it can't get out. But now you walk into this tent, you see this big tent, this humongous elephant with a rope tied to the center pole. And like that elephant could take down the whole stinking tent. All of us in here, why didn't that elephant do that?
Got conditioned.
It's a learned, yeah.
It got conditioned
Yeah.
at an early age that it can't break through, that it can't break the chain of its past and go toward what it's capable of. And you're sitting in this room because you believe you're capable of more. You were brought here to do something bigger than what you're doing right now. And there's the two most important days of your life. It's the day you were born and the day you find out why. You guys have a beautiful light inside of you. The world needs to see that light. Get out there and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Share with people, contact.
Good.
So.
Okay.